come draft day, there's a list that comes to you as a general manager, right? Here's all the names on the list.
Right.
Because when you pick a player above another player, you're putting your name on it because you wear that dude, for your careers that rolled out. And I was interested in that one because Bobby Witt Jr. and Rushman was 1, Bobby Witt Jr. was 2 in that draft. And hindsight's always 20/20. You think the Orioles made the right decision by taking Adley Rutschman, what he's been able to do since he showed up in Baltimore. Bobby Witt fell to Kansas City in the 2 spot. And what a nice little fall off to have to Bobby Witt Jr. because I know for a fact Dayton Moore was in charge of Kansas City. He wanted that.
Right.
They watched Bobby Witt Jr. play a lot. And my thought process for you, Steve, would be one's a high school kid, one's a college kid. And the overall philosophy sometimes that an organization might have, one of those things might supersede maybe the better player to a degree or no, because high school, you get them in your system, right? And you might get them for a longer period of time. The college player, you might know more of what you're getting, but it might be a little bit different.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. And things have changed a little bit, too. Like back when I was with the Mets, we had the first overall pick in the draft, and it came down to Paul Wilson, big right-handed pitcher from Florida State, and Ben Grieve, high school slugger from Texas. Remember watching those 2 guys and going back and forth? The Mets decided to choose Paul Wilson, the college pitcher. And when you think about taking a college pitcher who's won Paul Skeens last year, you're looking at a guy who's a fast-track guy. You kind of what you see is what you're going to get. You're going to fine-tune him. His body will fill out. He'll develop and move forward. But, you're looking at a guy who could be a #1 starter moving forward. This was a decision even last year that people had to make, right? Dylan Cruz or Paul Skeens, which way do you go? Now, Skeens seemed to be so much in front of everybody that he went with that pick. I have to tell you, I would inevitably probably take the position player over the pitcher. If it's close,
right.
I would take the position player because I think it's easier to find pitching in free agency and in the trade market than it is to find that impactful everyday player. And so, like a couple years ago, when the Angels didn't have pitching, and they drafted 20 pitchers in the draft,
right.
I think in the 2020 season, I thought, no, I would take 20 position players, and I would then trade them for pitching later because I think it's much easier to do that than it is to have the pitchers and trade for the position player later. It's much more risk with the pitchers overall.
I remember a conversation I had with John Schuerholz with the Braves a long, long time ago, and his philosophy then, he loved the high school player.
Yeah, Joe McAvey with the Mets, same way. Give me the high school kid.
And the reason behind that was I don't want this high school player that I already like to get to college and maybe go to a program where they might not do things my way. They might not do things wrong, but I don't want to have to deprogram that. And I think that kind of an avenue, if you have the right developmental staff in your organization, I think it could lead to possibly more superstars, if you will.
Right.
You look at, that's right there in the John Schuerholz era when Chipper Jones comes up. A high school kid. I always talk about the idea of my brother was a high school kid. Eddie Murray was a high school kid. You might not know for sure what you have, but that word projection, I think, needs to come into play as much as anything else, because if you have the right people, you see what you got, and I can actually have the projection, I can have the foreshadowing, the foresight to see there's something special in there. I know it's going to come out. To me, that's what the key is.
Yeah, I think things have changed. It used to be the aluminum bat scared everybody. For a hitter, you get that aluminum bat swing, you get hit off the hands, you still get a base hit. Pitchers were afraid to pitch inside because of the aluminum bat. You're still giving up base hits. And so nobody wanted to pitch in. You felt like you had to deprogram that. I think the development at the college level is so much better than it used to be. We're taking coaches from the college level to the pro ball because they're doing it better in many ways than what we're doing. I also think junior college programs development is so much better than it was. And so I think it really just comes down to talent. The other thing is, think about Bobby Witt. He was a fast-track high school guy.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to be, he got to the big leagues quickly, and right? So and right now, you look at all the showcase events, all of the international competition, And high school kids are so much more mature in their baseball acumen than they ever were before. When we played, we didn't have these opportunities to play this sort of international competition. And so I think the game's changed a lot, where I think that the talent prevails. High school, college, I don't think it matters much anymore where it goes. But it's a great conversation. And how about that 2019 draft? Corbin Carroll in the 16th round. He's at number 18 right now on the top 100. Adley Rushman at 19. Bobby Witt Jr., 16th pick in that 2019 draft. And so you look at that, you've got just some extraordinary talent that's impacting the game. And many of these guys who are from 11 to 20 and 20 to 30 are going to be in the top 10 at some point. They're getting better.
Soon.
Yeah, they're getting better for sure.